So, Dale, I have a question. How does it feel to be one of the most cucked fucking countries' citizens in the world?
It's terrible. Thankfully, though, I'm at least in Quebec, and we have a degree of autonomy that is not shared by the rest of Canada. Fun
Oh,
fact:
that, that is that is a bonus.
we even have our own immigration system. So you can't immigrate to Quebec. If you immigrate to Canada, into Quebec, you have to go through our own system as well. And we tell
All right.
most people who can't speak French to fuck off. It's pretty based. No Pajits in Quebec.
No Pajits in Quebec. Very good. Very good.
They all go to
Stoner would be
Ottawa.
happy.
Yeah, they all
We're
go to
not
Ottawa.
Stoner. Not Stoner. Fucking Dracula. Sorry,
Yeah.
my bad. I saw Stoner's name and just said Stoner out loud. Anyways, so Canada, oh Canada. Honestly speaking, I'm almost to the point. If it wasn't for the fact that the one saving grace of Canada is the fact that it is as resource rich as it is,
Yes.
I would turn it into a nature preserve, just like I would do with the rest of Europe.
Yes. Without Quebec, all the world's maple syrup reserves would go dry.
Well, not just that though, because here's the thing. Um, little factoid about Canada. Canada sits on the one of the actually I think it's the largest natural gas deposit in the world.
Yeah.
Like literally, it's a contiguous natural gas pocket basically under the planet. It's the deposit is fucking massive.
Are you talking about the oil sands?
No, not the oil sands. Not the oil sands. This is a whole undeveloped natural gas reserve, basically.
Where is this? Is this also in Alberta, or is this a different province?
Alberta, Saskatchewan area.
Ah,
So yeah, no, this is not the oil sands. This is a totally other piece of the fucking pie. And the fact of the matter is that Canada is quite valuable. Which is why we're gonna fucking colonize your little asses at this point in time if you keep trying to fucking do stupid shit. I digress.
We also have some of the only rare earths deposits in the world as well.
Well, that's not as true as it was once thought to be. So, one of the biggest problems with the whole rare earth metal discussion is this thought process that rare earths are quote unquote rare, but they're more like uncommon than rare.
Ah,
For example, titanium.
right.
Titanium is technically a rare earth metal, but in reality, there's a lot of titanium in the world. You just have to be in the particular areas for it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like for example, if you know anything about Ukraine, Ukraine has a fuck ton of titanium. It was the primary extraction site for the Soviet Union back in the day. For titanium, there's more titanium in Russia, but it's undeveloped. Whereas the titanium in Ukraine was fully developed. They developed that first on purpose, because use what you got further out before you start using your more internal supplies. That's kind of the thing with Canada's gas fields is that they have other gas fields that they've already tapped. So they're like, okay, we'll just hold this one in reserve. That's why they haven't tapped the one in the Alberta, Saskatchewan area.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the thing. Fun little shit's been going on the past few days. Fucking the greatest meme of them all. Governor Trudeau of,
Yes,
of
the great state of Canada.
The great state of Canada. One of the most epic trolls ever, because it doesn't just only set the tone, like you are our little bitch and you will submit, as well as establishing, guess what, world? The U.S. policing the world is done.
Yes. The U.S. policing their hemisphere, on the other hand, is just.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Monroe Doctrine 2.0, sons of bitches. And guess what? We ain't giving you even a slight chance to come into Mexico again, France. Don't even fucking try it. Yeah. That last intervention was your last one.
Yes.
All right, so Stoner's presenting a question real quick. He's hate to piss in your Wheaties, but the CCP isn't going to let us exercise the Monroe Doctrine over Canada. Bullshit. They don't have an option.
Yeah.
They have no force projection outside of the 100 Island chain.
They don't have a blue. I think it's a blue water navy. Is the term for like.
Yes, yeah. Blue water navy. They have a white water navy, and yeah, they don't have they do not have the capabilities to excise power this far. And no, it's not they don't have a blue water navy yet. No, they don't want to come to this side of the Pacific. They just don't want to. Whether you want to believe it or not, they do not want to fight us in our own backyard.
Yes. Like their missile defense system
it's
against
blue water and green water.
Their missile defense systems against our navy are going to be completely useless in our neck of the woods, and they don't they haven't built anything up to counter that outside of their own little like sphere of influence.
Well, no, they have their ICBMs, but the problem is that they start launching ICBMs, we start launching them back.
Yeah.
The Chinese are concerned about Africa. They want to be involved in Africa.
Right.
They don't give a shit about the New World. They want to rebuild the old Silk Road.
Mm-hmm. Do they have power projection capabilities into Africa, or could the U.S. theoretically just like
the Belt and Road Initiative?
Oh, right.
The Belt and Road Initiative. So the BRI is their whole goal, mm-hmm. and right now they're disrupted, but they're not blocked because of the situation in Syria. And we'll kind of get into that because it's kind of in relation to what's going on right now.
So if the U.S. just said, fuck it, we're going to take over Africa, like, could they do anything about it, or would they just be left to cope?
China would literally just... we wouldn't be fighting China, we'd be fighting Russia. Also, would the American military be willing to be used to annex an ally? What makes them an ally?
More of a vassal.
That's the point, is what makes them an ally? Are they actually an ally?
Yeah. The biggest thing they export...
Because remember the saying, it's bad to be an enemy of the United States, it's even worse to be a friend.
I mean, their biggest export to the U.S. is snark about how they're better than Americans. Is that really what you want in an alliance?
And mind you, the appointment of Lil Marco Rubio, his appointment as Secretary of State sets the tone. The Monroe Doctrine is back, baby. It is 100% back. So, for those who don't know, I'm just going to read off the Wikipedia page. Dale, make sure to pop this link into the description for the next video. The Monroe Doctrine is the United States foreign policy position that opposes European colonialism in the Western Hemisphere. It holds that any intervention in the political affairs of the Americas by foreign powers is a potentially hostile act against the United States. The doctrine was central to the American grand strategy in the 20th century. So basically across the board, the concept is that, okay, everybody who is not from this hemisphere can fuck off.
Yeah, Brandon and his brother are here.
Hey, pause. All right. Fuck, where were we?
You were just about to explain what the Monroe Doctrine is.
Well, I given the rundown of it, and then... Okay. Alright, go when you're ready.
Alright, so technically we've been going the whole time, because it's a lot easier to just cut out all the other parts.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Alright, fuck it. Then we'll start. So, basically, Monroe Doctrine, the whole concept being, stay the fuck out of our neck of the woods, we'll stay out of your shit, etc., etc. There's a lot of contention around the idea that being being anti-European is big bad, and it's like, no, it's not at all. Go fuck yourselves. Europe should be turned into a fucking nature preserve. I do not care what you have to say.
Correct.
The only thing worth preserving is the UK, and that's because we can turn them all into second-class citizens and use them to work, while we turn their country into an unsinkable aircraft carrier to then enforce the nature preserve nature of Europe.
I love you.
No boats, no planes. You don't get to leave. Fuck off. Go back to the 1800s, please. Thank you. Anyhow, point is that the Monroe Doctrine is back, baby, and y'all are fucked when it comes down to it. Like, and Canada isn't going unscathed. I don't know if you caught it, Dale, but I was actually in a Twitter Spaces the other day with Tom Luongo and another guy.
Nice. I did not.
And I asked them, I was like, hey, what are the chances that this is literally just going to turn into Monroe Doctrine 2.0? And Tom is like, oh yeah, no, it's on like Donkey Kong. And I'm like, fuck yes, let's go. Now, the thing that's going to be really fucking important about this is, again, Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio speaks the language of the South. He understands the culture, et cetera, et cetera. One of the key things that is going to have to happen is, bringing the Caribbean back under heel. Per my understanding, the Kenyans are already fucking shit up on Haiti, which is fucking great. Like, can we just acknowledge that it's the Kenyans that came in and started fucking up Barbecue and his boys?
Wait, Obama is fucking up Barbecue?
No. He drowned him. He drowned him in the bay. He drowned another chef. Like, what do you expect? Now, what's going to be important about this as a whole is actually enforcing the policy, because U.S. foreign policy does not move quickly. It just doesn't pivot on a dime. It takes decades to truly move the foreign policy direction. But the point is if you have a strong enough entity actually pushing things. So, like, in the case of Syria, and all this shit ties in together. That's the funny part. We're talking about the Americas, but shit overseas is affecting this as well. And at the end of the day, when you've got the U.S., we've got the president-elect, Donald Trump, saying, hey, Syria's not our fight. This shit happened, this is what's going on, et cetera, but it's not our business. And that's important, because it literally shows, like, yeah, no, he wants to pivot. We're already pivoting away from China. We're already pivoting away from the Middle East. We're already pivoting away from Ukraine. Hell, the reason why the Canadians are doing what they're doing, why the Europeans are trying desperately to put things together that they're trying to put together, is because the U.S. is pivoting away from them. And now these poor motherfuckers up north are freaking the fuck out because they realize that their asses are on the fucking chopping block too.
Based. And as I said before, you need to liberate Canada. Unlike in Iraq, you will be greeted as liberators.
Yeah, seriously.
We have had enough.
And Stoner, it's not about what the American voter is going to feel. It's not about the American voter's opinion. It's about what's just going to fucking happen. Because if all of a sudden, like, look at it this way. If Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba are sitting there and they're telling Ottawa, get bent, go away, we don't care what you have to say, and then Ottawa tries to come in with the military, which, oh, by the way, good luck, Trudeau. Good luck getting the military to actually go in on your orders. Those three states are just going to boogie. They're just going to be like, hey, USA, what's up? Like, cowabunga, boys, let's go. They're just gonna fucking start shooting RCMP officers. They're just gonna start shooting fucking the retarded Canadian military guys that are willing to actually fucking show up. it's going to result in a fracturing of Canada as a nation state. So there's nothing to it. There's no, like, the U.S. themselves don't get a choice in this. It's going to be us putting the pressure on Canada and Canada doing it to themselves. And then once the Canadian government pulls some retarded ass fucking bullshit, then we go in as liberators. We go in as humanitarians. We fucking go in and we say, okay, RCMP, if you're wearing a Mountie uniform, congratulations, you're fucked. You shot some people. We're considering those crimes against fucking humanity because those people you broke international treaty. We're going to enforce international treaty against your ass, and we're going to haul you off to The Hague. Trudeau gets hauled off for being complicit and given the orders.
Honestly, if anything, Trudeau needs to get the Gaddafi treatment. No trial, just a bayonet up the ass.
No, I don't agree with that because the whole situation with Gaddafi, that was an absolute shit show that was foisted upon Libya, and we don't want it to be Libya. We want it to be a clean sweep. We want it to be a clean situation, and if Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba just say "fuck you," we're leaving, what's Ottawa gonna do?
All right.
And Stoner, no, they are American territories. They're not becoming American territories. They are American territories. The majority of the populations that make up those 3 states are Americans. They're Americans that fled during the U.S. Civil War from the tyranny that was Abraham Lincoln. The majority of those people are Americans in descent. So no, they're not becoming American. They are American. And no, they're not against it. The problem is that the impetus for it wasn't there. They can't survive on their own. This is the fun part, is that either they fucking die on the vine or they survive by transplanting themselves. It's the same concept with American counties in Oregon and California and so on and so forth. They need to graft themselves to a healthy plant like Idaho, for example, in order to avoid withering on the vine like the rest of California and Oregon.
Yes, mostly Portland. Fucking Portland.
Kind of like the Republic of Texas. Yeah, basically, actually, that's a really good example, is the Republic of Texas. The Republic of Texas, back in the day, would not have been able to survive on its own because it just didn't have the resources. Yeah, whereas nowadays it's a little different, but the Republic of Texas, great example.
If you remember, you guys didn't really annex them. They petitioned for annexation. They asked the U.S. to annex them, and the U.S. said,
they petitioned for statehood. They petitioned for statehood. Right. They became a state right off the rip. Yeah. They weren't even a territory. It was literally they petitioned to become a state of the Federation.
Yes. Common Texas W.
But no, and that's the thing, is that across the board, Canada, like when Donald Trump made the joke about about Governor Trudeau and the state of Canada, it was putting the Canadian government on notice. It was telling them, hey, guess what? Playtime's over. You either get in line or you're gonna die.
Yes.
The same message is being relayed, because here's the thing. The reason why we said it to Canada was because we've treated Canada with kid gloves. We're now going to introduce you to tough love. The same message was relayed to Mexico through that message.
Mm-hmm. Do you think they will be declaring war on Mexico? Or
I'll get to that in a second. In regards to the Canadian provinces, how will we annex them? I don't see Ottawa and London going along with the annexation. So Ottawa won't have a choice, because Quebec will secede literally at the same time. Yeah. Quebec will become New France again immediately. Yes. They'll immediately rejoin the French nation, and mind you, New France does still exist.
Yes. There's Saint Pierre and Miquelon.
Yep.
Yep.
It's a very small island.
It is.
Yeah, and King Charles ain't gonna have ain't gonna have shit to fucking say. King Charles is busy trying not to get fucking rope-a-doped in by the Diddy case right now. What do you mean?
Mm-hmm. Isn't that Prince Andrew?
No, it's a joke that Prince Andrew,
yes.
Prince Charles, all of them were implicated in Epstein.
It was Prince Charles as
Epstein,
well?
Because remember, Epstein's whole thing was targeting political leaders, whereas Diddy's case is targeting cultural leaders.
Also, Stoner.
What if the fag sanction us?
What can they do?
What are they gonna do?
Who is in control of SWIFT? It's not the Euro. It's not the Euro fags.
No. Who controls the Federal Reserve? Is it some little bitch boy fucking feminist from fucking Europe? Or is it a fucking red-blooded goddamn Virginian?
The latter.
There's a Virginian in that fucking office right now, and he is eating their lunch. He is taking the Eurofags to town in such a spectacular way that they have no hope in hell of being able to survive as an economy. Hell, their economies are fucking faltering so goddamn hard right now, they're trying to start a war in order to be able to cover up a fucking default.
Yeah.
No, they can sanction us. You know what's gonna happen? They sanction us and we're like, please do some more. Please, Daddy, sanction me more. And then we're gonna laugh. Yeah, okay, the CCP doesn't have a fucking option, and the CCP doesn't care. See, here's the problem, Stoner, and I'm gonna kind of put you on blast for a second. The CCP does not fucking care. The CCP does not matter. The CCP is not this omnipotent fucking force that has power across the world. They are nothing. They are literally nothing when it comes to this hemisphere. The only power they have is in Asia, Middle East, or Asia, or East Asia, Central Asia, West Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. That's where their power base is. And there's a reason why they're funneling dollars into the Asian Tiger 5 right now as hard as they can in order to build that power base. Congratulations! What is it? What are they gonna do? Fucking try to pull Pearl Harbor on us?
Yeah.
Ooh, guess what, bitches? We're confiscating your property. Oh wait, we already did it to the Russians.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they own a lot of houses, but like, most of those houses are people who want to get away from the CCP.
No, they're not. Goose and us had a discussion about this. What it is that companies. Okay, so you might not know this, Dale, since you're in Quebec.
Yes.
But the cartels do not bring fentanyl over the southern border anymore in nearly the amount of quantities that they were. They bring it over the northern border.
Oh.
And the properties that they're cooking that fentanyl in is the Chinese-owned properties. The Chinese triad and the cartels have allied together, which is also another reason why the U.S. is putting Canada on notice, because we're going to start handling them the same way we handle the southern border.
Also, Stoner, no, they're much more dependent on trade with us than we are with them. All their goods... The only reason they have any money is because they sell us cheap shit. So they're not going to cut off the cheap shit they sell us, because that will wreck them.
Okay, and also, you're also... Okay. Stoner, I'm gonna say this right now. You are thinking from the perspective of a European. I'm just gonna say it. You're thinking like a European. You're not thinking like an American, you're thinking like a European. You think that sanctions work. Sanctions don't fucking work.
No.
Sanctions only work when people go along with them. And I mean the people that you're sanctioning go along with them. Look what happened with Iran. Iran is still fucking around.
Yeah.
They're still there. and we have never been able to fucking get rid of them.
Yeah. I think another great example of the sanctions. Remember when all of Europe and the U.S. sanctioned Russian oil? Well, what did they do? They just started selling to India, who then sold to the rest of us anyways. All that did is make the price. All that did was create a middleman and make some fucking Pajits rich. Like Russia still sold their oil, and then just the Pajits became the middleman and just sold it back to us at a premium.
Yep. So no, like the Chinese, they'll get over it. The CCP is not going to lose any sleep over us going in and basically telling the Canadians, you better wise up or we're gonna fucking cock smack you. Like the CCP doesn't have this whole idea. The fucking Ben Shapiro's and Glenn Beck's and fucking all of them. The fucking lot of them.
They all know, and it will be shut down.
They all play up this fucking bullshit. It's like fucking Peter Schiff. Peter Schiff is a fucking retard who fucking 10 years ago is like Bitcoin is just a fucking fad, and now Bitcoin is worth over $100,000 fucking dollars. And now he is eating his own fucking words, coping as hard as he fucking can to try to stay relevant. People needed to sell their newsletters. People needed to make themselves relevant in the modern era. The modern era is not the 1990s. So, I'm sorry. Yeah, you can be like, oh, I'm trying to wargame all angles. No, there's only one fucking angle at this point in time. The angle is the United States is reestablishing its sovereignty from Europe, and now Europe is thrashing about, which, mind you, Canada is an extension of Europe, and Canada is going to fall as part of that.
Unfortunately, Canada is an extension of Europe. Terrible.
No plan survives first contact with the enemy. Okay, so I'm gonna break this down bit by bit. No plan survives first contact with the enemy. Yes, but does that mean you throw the plan out?
Nope.
Do you just throw the plan out completely? Panic and get all confused and dazed and stunned in combat? No, no, you don't.
Only if you're Syrian.
No, actually, there's some more context to that I'll actually get into. The enemy always gets a choice in how shit goes down. No, not at all. That's only if you hand them initiative. If you hand them the initiative, then they get to choose. But if you maintain initiative, even though you get ambushed, if you push through, maintain the initiative, and then circle back for a counterattack, you will always win the day. Period. In a story. And then Murphy all shows up sooner or later.
I'd rather Morphe show up.
And guess what? Murphy works both ways. Murphy isn't just working against you. It's also working against... Murphy is not just working against you. He's also working against the other guys, too.
Yes.
Now, in the case of... And no, you don't attack into the ambush. You push through the ambush. You get distance from the ambush, then circle back and counterattack.
As the saying goes, the only way out is through.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's the thing with Syria, and the reason why I resent that remark, Dale. So, we actually have some more information now, and I have it on good authority. The problem that happened in Syria was Assad didn't have the cash.
Yeah.
Assad could not bribe people enough.
Yes. I know. We went over this last episode. It was mostly just a joke.
Yes, but here's the thing. This is where it's really fucky, because now we have a good idea of how this thing is going to shape up. So the Kurds are establishing full control over what is considered Kurdish territory, and which is actually really funny, given the information that I now have, and some of the historical context. You know how I make the Akyulu and Kurukulu jokes every once in a while when we bring up the Kurds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, the areas of Syria that are being occupied by the Kurds were actually occupied by Akulu and whatnot back in that day, which is really fucking funny. Which I'm like, wow, history fucking carries forward pretty hard, doesn't it?
Yep.
Now here's the other thing. There is a ethnic group. I do not remember what they're called off the top of my head, but there is a ethnic group that is currently petitioning the Israelis to be absorbed into Israel and basically brought under Israeli protection. So that whole situation right there is kind of an interesting tidbit, because now I'm like, okay, cool, we've got some more information. More than likely, the situation with this this ethnic group had already been ongoing, and that's why the Israelis moved in when they did, because they wanted to secure the link between this group and themselves. And then the rest of the country, basically, we're looking at the Principality of Aleppo, basically. Like, it looks like Damascus is going to fall under the control of the Israelis, and then Aleppo is going to be under the control of HTS, or also known as ISIS.
Yes. A pity for anyone who knows what Aleppo is, meaning everyone not Gary Johnson.
Gary Johnson.
Yes.
Wow. Gavin is making Cajun chili chicken Alfredo.
Nice.
This sounds absolutely delicious, and my stomach is so full that, honestly speaking, it makes me want to throw up. Anyways, alright. So, with this pivot that's currently going on, and as, you know, again, the situation in Syria, you know, everybody basically is trying to cope right now with the whole Syrian situation. You know, there's a bunch of neocons and neoliberals that are like, okay, we traded Ukraine for Syria. We won in Syria, so we lose in Ukraine. That's how they're coping. And it's like, no. You didn't win in Syria, because the Syrian situation is going to be an ongoing fucking shit show for the next 20 fucking years. It's not going to stabilize any fucking time soon. But then the situation in Ukraine is very, very interesting in regards to what's going on here at home. Because, as I said earlier, the Europeans don't have energy resources. So who are they going to buy their energy from?
India, by which I mean Russia.
Oh, no. That's the thing, is that they got caught with the whole India thing. And now people are protesting, being like, no, we don't want to buy oil and gas from India. And so now the Europeans are like, well, shit, now we got to buy gas from the fucking Americans. Oh, by the way, the American gas is pretty damn expensive. Yeah. So the simple fact is that across the board, you know, they're going to be buying energy from us. And it's going to be quite funny, too, because the Canadians are going to be sitting there and, oh, wait, the Canadians don't have any refineries to actually process their shit. That's why they sell it to us. So, yeah, they don't even have the benefit of being able to buy shit directly from Canada. They have to buy it from the United States.
Why don't we have refineries? Yeah,
because the Canadian government's gay and fucking retarded.
Fair enough. But it hasn't always been gay and retarded. I mean, we had the oil under Harper, and Harper was pretty based, but...
Yeah, well, congratulations. Again, the current Canadian government is gay and retarded, i.e. Justin Trudeau. Yes. But the point is, or let me rephrase, Governor Trudeau.
Yes.
I'm gonna be on that shit. I have been trolling Canadians and just fucking being a menace to these bitches.
Good.
But yeah, so we've got, you know, again, we've got the situation with Ukraine spiraling. If I had to guess, because the negotiations for Ukraine are not going to, they're not going to be done that quickly. It's going to take probably 3 to 6 months before the negotiations are ironed out, and that's going to be on a quick timetable. So 3 to 6 months for the Russians to just bum rush towards the river. And I think that's what they're going to do. Personally speaking, I think that's what they're going to do. Because frankly speaking, they want the ability to do what they need to do and then proceed to say, okay, we're cool, bye. And well, the question will be is if Mr. Trump is stupid and tries to be like, oh, we're not going to let you take that much of Ukraine or whatever, and then lose out on, the fact that he's, handing the Russians TARDIS. We'll see.
Yeah, and
we'll have to see what happens.
To answer your question, Stoner, about whether the Keystone XL pipeline will finally get out of limbo and be built, when Polyev gets elected in 2025, most likely, yes.
Well, Polyev is... Polyev?
Yes.
Is that actually how you say it?
Correct.
Pierre Polyev?
Yes.
I've always heard Polivier, but whatever. But anyways, Pierre Polyev, I don't have high hopes for him, to be frank.
No.
I don't. Simply because I think he's just going to be a European cuck. I think he's just going to cuck out to the Europeans as hard as he possibly can. Because he's just going to be like, oh, hey, you are my overlords. I will do as you tell me. Oh, hail Ukraine, and hail Zelensky. That's probably what is going to end up happening. Now, is that for sure going to be what happens?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very touchy subject.
So
in my
know
opinion.
Early on he was very pro-Ukraine in the same way generic conservative is pro-Ukraine, but he has had to backtrack since. So he is malleable there. But I would say just when it comes to the Keystone XL, like generic conservative wants the Keystone XL. So I'm pretty sure that's at least still going to go through. I'm not sure what else will happen, but he's at least reliably generic conservative enough to not hamstring the pipeline anymore like Trudeau did.
There's a possibility. Again, it's going to be an ongoing situation.
Yes.
It's going to be an ongoing situation. And now, to be fair, there's a chance that we see a situation like, what's it called? Reform. There's a chance, slight, but a chance that we see something like UK Reform come out and start pushing hardcore, but it's going to take some time for sure.
You mean in Canada?
Yes.
Well, we have that. It was called the People's Party of Canada, and it unfortunately did not do very well. Rip Bernier. It should have been Bernier. Unfortunately, it was not.
Well, it is what it is, unfortunately.
Yes. So I don't think there's going to be another one of that. But it's kind of interesting because there was that action. So the current party known as the Conservative Party of Canada has only existed since like 2000. It was a breakaway of two smaller parties. I believe one of them was actually called the Reform Party, and a mix of that and the Progressive Conservative Party, which so it's possible something like that can happen, but that kind of already happened in like 20 years ago. I don't necessarily see that happening again anytime soon.
Well, and here's the thing though, and maybe this is my biggest pet peeve with the situation with Canada, is so many people have been basically foisted upon the idea that, oh, you have to be a fucking imbecilic retard when it comes to the wider world. The level of naivete of the average fucking Canadian is absolutely absurd.
Correct.
I've actually started looking into it a little more, and I'm like, holy shit. Literally fucking children. Fucking infantile children.
Correct.
The majority of the population.
Yes.
Anyways.
Don't worry, Stoner, about... We won't have to remind the engines anything. We'll just give them fire, water, and they'll go away, and then we'll build the pipeline while they're off drinking themselves to death.
Well, so here's the thing: is the Indians, the Siberian Americans weren't actually against the pipeline. It was a single family.
Yes.
It was a singular family that stalled out the pipeline.
Yes.
Singular family. Whereas they then built up this whole idea that it was, in fact, the entire tribe. And mind you, the tribal leaders came out later and said, no, we are cool with the pipeline. It's a singular fucking family that's being the problem.
Well, once again, that singular family can just be paid off in fire water, and then you can move
on. Is that fire water mixed with gasoline and diesel and
No, it's just fire water, as in whiskey or some other type of alcohol.
I understand. Yeah. I understand. You didn't get my joke.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, we don't want to burn them.
Gasoline and diesel is how you make napalm.
Yes. I have to edit some of that out of YouTube.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But for those who want to have a good time, you should mix styrofoam together with diesel.
But yeah, no, it's really a case of, like, we're talking about a very large number of people that are interested, because here's the thing, is that the families get paid. They get paid for the oil and gas coming across their land. And it's a big misnomer that people aren't getting paid. It's like, no, they get transit fees.
Yes.
They get transit fees. Period in a story.
Yes. Among the many other things the government pays them for no reason.
It's just fucking annoying that we're dealing with, yeah, again, infantile fucking children.
Yes. Well, I mean, I'm not sure if it's been brought up on the show yet, but I mean, it's been at least brought up in discussion before that something like 85% of all the Canadian Indians have fetal alcohol syndrome. Like, there's a massive study. These people are retarded. Like, there's a reason they're a problem. It's because they're retarded and drunk.
Well, that honestly speaking, and I'll say this right now, when you've got a group of people that have been used and abused,
yes,
you know, again, like, a lot of people don't, they overblow, like, the whole fucking what's it called? The whole fucking indigenous mass graves and shit like that.
Yes, like most of it was just bullshit. There were no mass graves of children on residential schools, but hundreds of churches have been burnt down because of that lie.
Yeah. And the whole point is that what you end up having is it ended up splitting Canada so fucking hard on certain cultural lines. It was unfucking real.
It was basically our George Floyd. And also based on as much bullshit as your George Floyd.
And honestly speaking, let's be honest. It's there's going to be these retards that decide to play this game, and it's just going to be a case of, like, oh well, whatever.
Yes.
Oh well.
Fun fact: if you don't want to die, if you don't want to die of your heart stopping, don't swallow your entire stash of fentanyl and meth while running from the cops. It wasn't a knee that killed George Floyd. It was a lot of fucking drugs. But we digress.
Oh, and I also, you know, the other part of that, and this is also to do with the economy side of things. If you really start looking into it hardcore, and you realize, like, oh, hey, you know, there's this refusal to develop this, there's this refusal to develop that, et cetera, et cetera. As I was telling Goose the other day, because he was, he's like, I can't wait for companies to start investing, and I'm like, well, it's not gonna fucking happen. You have to deregulate so fucking hard, it's unfucking real. You have to drop taxes like a motherfucker. You're gonna have to get rid of the socialized system in order to get investment back into Canada. And mind you, like, I've seen examples of this across the board. What is this artwork? Let's look at this.
Seems, yeah, it's like.
Oh, okay. That's actually pretty baller. That's pretty baller, actually. I like this. Mm-hmm. Is that fucking? Is that Texas National Army fucking in Gore-Tex? That's fucking great. Or Ratnik. That's Ratnik. What the?
It's an interesting.
Texas and Russia fighting alongside. Glory to the Russian and Texan soldiers, the liberators of Orel. I like this. This is awesome.
I'm gonna include those in the video.
Yeah, those are awesome.
Yeah. Where is Orel?
Orel, hold on. Let me look it up.
Does it have anything to do with the Urals, or is that a different thing?
Hold on. Orel. Orel, Russia. It is. Oh, it's What oblast is this? The Orel Oblast. It's right north of Kursk.
Oh.
Yeah, it's right north of Kursk. Curious.
Are there any notable cities in that oblast?
Orel is the capital.
Oh.
I don't see any cities that really. I'm not seeing any cities that kind of stand out. I'm guessing it's just like, it's that area between Kursk and Tula. Tula is the next big city, big oblast.
Right.
Yeah, Tula. Oh, okay, Tula's big. So yeah, it's right there. And then you got Bryansk, next door. Okay. So it's kind of the in between, kind of like how Kursk is. Kursk is in between. It's like the hinterlands between Bryansk and Belgorod.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. Shouldn't the world have learned what happened the last time the Russians fought in Kursk?
Oh, well, of course not.
Yeah. I mean, the Germans sure know, but I guess the Ukrainians... I guess the older Nazis sure know, so I guess the new Nazis didn't learn the lessons from the old Nazis.
Oh, well, the old Nazis died pretty well, so...
Yeah. Well, who knows? Maybe at some point, like 50 years in the future, the Canadian Parliament will invite the new ones to their parliament.
What? I forgot about that.
Yes.
Oh, I had forgotten about that.
Let's just invite a member of the SS into our parliament to celebrate them, and then give them a standing ovation.
Yeah. Invite a member of the SS. The keyword SS.
Yes, it's like these people were fighting Russians in World War II. Wait a minute. Who was fighting Russia in World War II? Did they not think like did no one even ask that question? Oh, right, it was the Nazis who were fighting the Russians in World War II.
Yeah. Ah, fuck. I'm sorry, I'm still laughing about the whole Nazi thing. So yeah, getting let's just kind of lay it out like this. The Monroe Doctrine is back. Canada, get ready to get fucked. Mexico, really get ready to get fucked. Actually, speaking of Mexico, the southern border, let's move down to the southern border for a second, because, again, you know, northern border and the southern border, basically, they're the same fucking thing at this point in time when it comes to the overall effect that they have. But the southern border is interesting because, the Biden admin is, and I say the Biden admin specifically. I don't mean Joe Biden, I mean the Biden admin.
Yes. Joe Biden doesn't know what he's doing at all.
Well, no, Joe Biden's not even keyed in at this point in time.
Yeah.
He's not even being told anything.
Yeah.
He's got no information whatsoever. Hold on, give me a second.
And even if he did, he wouldn't remember it like 10 minutes later.
Sorry about that.
No
Probably
worries.
needed to talk to me for a second.
No worries.
But the point is that the Biden admin is basically, they're trying anything and everything to fucking try to screw over the border. So they...
Are you talking about how they began auctioning off border wall?
No, they've been doing that for a while now. They've been doing that for a while. They've been doing that for a good bit. Anyways. No, what I'm referring to is the fact that they are, like, hardcore trying to prevent the possibility of Title 10 orders.
What is Title 10? I know what Title 9 is, but what is Title 10?
So Title 10 is the is state authorization for the deployment of federal troops. And what they're trying hardcore to do right now is that they're trying to use all political capital they can against Texas and Arizona, because they can't do it again. They're not going to do it against New Mexico. They're not going to do it against New Mexico. They're not going to do it against California. The Arizona and Texas, however, they have to use political capital against. And what they're trying to do is convince these state legislators and these state governor and so on and so forth to not utilize Title 10. Because if they sign Title 10 orders and they get federal forces deployed to these states, they could then reallocate federal agents, Border Patrol agents, to New Mexico and California and to the northern border. And thus can start shifting the overall effect in lieu of having to recruit a shit ton more border agents, which they're going to do anyways. They're going to recruit more border agents. They need to. But in lieu of having to recruit before actually having effect, they can actually go and say, hey, nah, we're going to put federal troops here, and then we're going to send border agents to these other states where we can't get federal troops put on the border and put these extra guys to work.
Right.
Now, in the case of the northern border, how this translates to the northern border is right now the northern border needs support. They don't have nearly the number of guys that they need in order to be able to fucking actually have an effect. And if things continue going the way they are, like, there is a pipeline that runs from Canada down into Minnesota, down into Wisconsin, into Chicago, into fucking Ohio, through Pennsylvania into New York and so on and so forth, yada yada yada.
Is it even possible to adequately police the northern border? Because like the border with Mexico is big, but like the border between the U.S. and Canada is like immense. It's the world's largest border by far.
Yes, it's going to be hell in a handbasket to actually police it properly. Yeah. But we can't just not do it.
Yeah, there's too much just super sparsely populated land, like full of forest and cover to like sneak by.
Oh, yeah. No, it's literally a case of we can't just not do it.
Yeah.
Because, like, for example, in the case of Quebec, we could potentially sign a deal with Quebec, where it's like, okay, look, don't fucking let shit through. We patrol the shit with New Brunswick. New Brunswick is going to be slightly easier to handle because it's not nearly as big of an area and it's not nearly as heavily populated, and it's going to be slightly easier to patrol it.
Yeah.
But then...
I'm more talking about, like, the land... Because Quebec, the border between the U.S. and Quebec's not that big. I'm more talking about the land mass that is, like, Ontario all the way to B.C., which is just, like... Yeah, that goes across the entire continent. I don't think that's possible to adequately, like, police.
Well, here's the thing, and this is what makes it kind of easy. So if you start at Lake Ontario...
Yeah.
You have a big old fuck you river.
Right.
Or some sort of waterway.
Yes.
Running all the way up to Lake Superior that we control.
Yeah.
And we're able to utilize that. And, like, for example, the UP, the Upper Peninsula, shit doesn't come through the Upper Peninsula because the Upper Peninsula polices its own.
Right.
The UP says, hey, you came here, you're not supposed to be here, guess what? We're burying you out in the woods.
Yeah.
Now, in the case of that border right there, that border we're not scared of. The border we gotta be concerned of is from, I'm just gonna reference a city for you, from Thunder Bay, all the way out to Vancouver.
Yeah.
That's the border we're fucking concerned about.
Yeah, because there's just so much land, there's no water, it's basically just, the border is like, there's a forest on one side of the border, a forest on the other side of the border, and a tiny strip that they took away from the forest that designates the border. And it's like that, it's so easy to just run or like drive like an ATV across that in like 30 seconds, and like no one sees you. Like,
hey, our resident naval man has entered the room.
Yeah, I mean,
how you doing, Mitch?
Yeah, I mean, you can clearly like take some steps, but I don't see how you can take adequate steps. You know what?
I got an idea.
Yeah.
We create a land battleship. We put Mitch in command of it.
Nice.
That can control the border.
Yes.
Mitch.
Yep.
How do you like being a surface dweller for a little bit? We can even give you some 16-inch guns to use.
You have to lay some railroad tracks to move it around with.
Oh no, I'm thinking some fucking tank treads. Let's go. There's some excavating equipment that we can fucking utilize as the foundation of this project. Just make land battleships capable of just fucking patrolling the border.
Oh! Now that you mention that, I have the perfect vehicle in mind.
Oh God!
You know the transporter they have down at...
Hold on, Stoner. Mitch, go ahead.
You know the transporter they have down at Cape Kennedy, originally used to move the Saturn V from the assembly building.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Hold on, guys.
What should be done? You should just be given like command of just be handed command of just a Gustav gun, and just put that on some tracks and police the border with that.
You just hold on. I got land battleships I'm going to show you.
Fair enough. Can you stick a Gustav gun? Sweet.
Yeah, Gustav would work good. You could just stick the illegals inside the barrel and automatically fire them back to where they came from, and you
Yes.
probably make it.
Sorry guys.
No worries.
Little funny happened. Anyways, but Stoner, what were you gonna say to me? I'm sorry.
Check this out, chat, because I'm fixing to show you some land battleships.
Oh God. But anyways, the point is that yes, the border from Thunder Bay to Vancouver, that's gonna be a bitch. The rest of the border, I don't think would be nearly as bad.
Yeah.
Okay, why do I recognize this?
That is the big tray from Mobile Suit Gundam.
Okay, yeah, okay. Now I was about to say, I'm like, why do I recognize this?
Of course, it's a Gundam reference.
Yeah, well, of course it is.
Yeah.
Because Gundam's great.
Yes.
But anyways, the whole point is that they are trying desperately to they're trying to use their political capital to prevent Title 10 orders from being activated. Now, what's funny is the chance that Montana and Washington, Montana, Idaho, North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, all these other northern states potentially issuing Title 10 orders in regards to the northern border.
Do you think Washington and Minnesota, which are like the commie capitals of the country, would do that? I mean, don't they want the illegal immigration?
Well, that's the thing, is that they want the migration. They don't want the drugs. The drugs are the problem with the northern border.
Washington might, or actually maybe that's Oregon. Oregon would want it, but maybe Washington too.
Well, yeah, Oregon is the homeless the homeless reserve for Washington State. So.
Yes. Last word I heard a few months back, Oregon realized they made a mistake with legalizing all drugs, and they've already backtracked on that.
Oh, yeah, really?
Last election, they approved a referendum to recriminalize drug use.
I wonder if Portland will secede from the rest of Oregon over that.
That might save Oregon.
Yeah.
Well, considering nobody can win an election really in Oregon without carrying a majority in Portland as well, yeah, I'd say Portland's already of the same mind, you know.
Yeah. Now I'd like to turn our eyes even more southward. So with the reintroduction of the Monroe Doctrine, there's going to be several key things here that need to be taken into account. And I believe that the number one thing is the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. So as I referenced earlier, the Kenyans have already shown up at Barbecue's place, and he's on the run. The Kenyans already fucking showed up. Did you guys see the vehicle that they used to attack his compound?
I did not.
They fucking used a killdozer.
Based.
They used a fucking killdozer, bro.
Good.
It's fucking great.
Yeah. I need to check that out.
Yeah, no, it's fucking fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. But the fact of the matter is that they are hardcore trying to get the situation in Haiti handled. Mm-hmm. The Dominican Republic, there's actually rumors going around the Dominican Republic might subsume Haiti and actually take it under as basically a protectorate.
That would probably be for the best. I mean, the Dominican Republic's an actual country. It functions.
Yeah, seriously. But then, you know, you've got all these other different, you know, colonial nations like the British Virgin Islands.
Or Trinidad and Tobago.
Huh?
Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah. The Bahamas.
Yeah.
The Turks, etc., etc.
Is it time to finally overthrow the fucking commies in Cuba?
So no, I don't think so. I think Cuba can act as a doorway between the U.S. and Russia. Personally speaking, I think it can act as a doorway. We need to treat the Cubans appropriately. That's just my take on it. You know, your mileage may vary. I'm also, you know, personally wanting to take a trip down to Santiago de Cuba, but that's just me.
Yeah, too. given the fullness of time, now that Fidel's long gone and his brother is probably advanced in age as well, it might very well be a fullness of time once all the members of the Castro family have passed on that they might finally be ready to move away from, like, communism to something a little more liberating, shall we say?
Mm-hmm.
Potentially.
Wait, did we still have control over Guantanamo Bay, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I thought I figured there would be like a demarcation line on the map. I'm looking at Google Maps. I figured there would be like a demarcation line or something like that showing like the boundaries of the area in which we control, but it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, you probably have to go to satellite view to see the barbed wire fences.
Yeah.
Well, these oddly square roads kind of indicate something. you know, I think I could see the outline of where said road might be. Where said fence might run.
Yes.
And perimeter road. Yeah.
Oh, ew! They named one of the roads inside the perimeters is named Sherman Avenue. Ew.
Ew.
Yeah. I actually got to visit Guantanamo Bay there one time.
Nice.
One tender I was on that ended up going over to spend about a year and a half over in Holylock, Scotland. When we got finished with the overhaul on it, they actually sent us down to Guantanamo Bay to do refresher training for about a month.
Yeah.
And got to go out around the base, and they still got some of the old concrete gun emplacements from back in the Spanish-American War era.
What were they doing with Guantanamo before the War on Terror? Before it turned into basic, what were they doing with it back then? Before it became CIA
it's been a naval base.
Yeah, just basically keep an eye on the Cubans and given, like, basically something resembling somewhat realistic refresher training for combat operations, shall we say.
So nothing special, really.
Nothing really special. They just hold. Basically, I think they just held on to it just to spite the Cubans after they turned communist there.
Right.
And then I'm trying to remember where the prison is.
Yeah, for my money, you could call the whole base a friggin' prison.
No, I'm trying to remember where, because Wow, this airfield does not look this airfield does not look very, very good. See, this one looks like it's a lot more used.
Yeah, but one of the weekends while the month we were there for about, I think it was like 3 or 4 days, we actually got tasked with ferrying some of the families that lived there permanently or were stationed there at Guantanamo Bay. Took them down a little cruise down to Montego Bay in Jamaica so they could have a vacation away from Guantanamo Bay. So we actually got a free trip to Jamaica out of it. Yay.
Come on down to Montego Bay.
Yeah.
Just whatever you do, whatever you do, don't mix any limes and coconuts.
Yeah. And don't go away from the Holiday Inn at night. At the risk of being risque, the old saying about only thing you would having no street lights and the only thing you would see would be teeth and eyeballs was actually very true.
Yes.
So my it's actually really funny that you say that. So a buddy of mine, he went to where was it? I don't remember. It wasn't It was one of the smaller cities next to Montego Bay. Where I'm trying to remember, but he said he went there and him and his guys, they're former military, they're security contractors now.
Mm-hmm.
And they were on vacation and they were going to go visit one of the guys on their team. They were going to go visit his family. And he said, like, the scariest thing about fucking Jamaica that he experienced was when they were there. Like, they're used to dealing with rough and tough places. They said every time they walk down a fucking street looking for places to eat and whatnot, literally every head would turn, look at them, and be like, "Hey, whiteys, what the fuck you doing here?" Like, they were just ready to fucking kill him. I'm like, oof.
Yeah, speaking of rough and tough, that one weekend we were down there, one night a bunch of us were there in the early evening up at Holiday Inn and looking out the window, watching the taxis come and go from, like, the front part of the hotel right there. And it just so happens the Marine captain that was in command of the Marine detachment on board the Hunley was standing there watching with us. His name was Captain Brickhouse, and I mean, this guy was the stereotype freaking gunny highway Marine. The guy was afraid of nothing.
Yeah, you were telling me about this guy.
And we were watching as the taxis came through, and basically most of the taxis were like the old late 60s, early 70s, before the Arab oil embargo, like Ford LTDs and like that, made out of nice heavy gauge sheet steel with V8 engines. And we watched one of the taxi drivers, when the bouncer that was directing traffic out in front of there at the hotel entrance, one of the taxi drivers gave that particular bouncer a hard time, and we watched that bouncer take a big Louisville Slugger baseball bat and with one swing literally caved in the engine hood on that Ford LTD.
Dang.
And we just stood there. Nobody said a word for like about 5 or 10 seconds, and then Captain Brickhouse, gunny highway incarnate, said, "Gentlemen, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I think I'm going to stay in the hotel tonight." Turned around and walked off.
Oh, dude, you told me this story a few weeks ago. I remember this now. No, but I almost said the Korean Peninsula. Oh, do we want to talk about Korea real quick? You guys hear what happened?
What happened now?
President Yoon has been impeached.
Wait, didn't they fail to convict him? Like, he was impeached, but they didn't meet the threshold to actually get rid of him?
No, he's been impeached. He's gone.
Oh,
he's
really?
gone. He's gone. Now, if they bring a case against him, that's another story.
Yeah.
All right.
And word is the number one successor to him is definitely anti getting involved in the Ukraine war, anti kissing the United States backside, and wanting to have more independence and run.
Oh yeah. No, and I love how it actually ties into what we were talking about earlier. I love how we kind of just got completely sidetracked while we were recording. I also got distracted. The fact of the matter is that the South Korean people have spoken. They don't want anything to do with Ukraine. They don't want to piss off the Russians. They just don't. And I'm like, oh, that's smart. The country to the north that happens to be incredibly hostile to you is allied with the guys that you don't want to piss off. I wonder why you don't want to piss them off.
So I wonder what new fresh shenanigans they might try to pull on South Korea before it's time for the Orange Man to assume the mantle.
Yes.
I don't think they're gonna pull anything. I think I think they're just gonna take the L. I don't see what they could pull. Like, obviously there's something they could. They could try to assassinate the guy that's replacing Yoon. They could. But I don't think there's anything that they could pull at this point in time.
Or anything short of possibly a more serious attempt at another coup. But yeah, that would take time to organize.
Well, honestly speaking, a false flag against North Korea would be the only thing that I would think would be substantial enough. Speaking of false flags, actually, fuck. Okay. Yeah. New Jersey! Fucking
yes.
everybody. God. Can we talk about everybody's freaking losing their shit about these fucking drones?
Why did no one try to shoot them? This is America.
No, here's the thing, is everybody's freaking out, and who did they immediately start trying to blame for the drones?
Russia?
The Iranians.
Oh, the Iranians.
They immediately. Fucking immediately. As Syria is falling apart, they immediately start trying to blame the fucking Iranians.
I don't think there are drones that can operate that far away from Iran. Aren't drones pretty short range?
Well, so, no, here's the fun part. Is that at first they tried saying that there was an Iranian drone mothership off the coast. But then satellite imagery confirmed that the Iranian drone mothership drone carriers are docked in Bandar Abbas. They are docked exactly where they're supposed to be. So everybody is like,
And I've heard no one ask the obvious question. Well, if you think there's a actual some type of ship out there, merchant or naval or whatever, you know, you've got Norfolk Naval Base just down the coast with all those frigates and destroyers, and frickin' Oceana Naval Air Station with reconnaissance aircraft. Why hasn't anybody bothered going up there and looking and see if there actually is a ship out there launching and recovering drones?
Yep.
And the simplest answer is they don't want to because they already know who's doing it.
Yeah. So I'm going to post in the I'm going to post a Twitter thread in the chat that I'm curious. I want to get your thoughts on what you think. This guy was explaining what he thought the drones actually were, and yeah, and then suspiciously his Twitter account disappeared afterwards. I mean, I'm curious to get your thoughts on those. If you read it.
Okay, hold on, let me take a look.
Is that the red hat at Scarlet NOCA?
Sorry. Oh yeah, it's Red Hat. Yeah.
Okay.
So you saw that already?
I haven't seen it. Let's just see.
All right.
Okay, so I'm just gonna read this off. I'm one of the few one of a few groups people who know exactly what the drones are in New Jersey. This tweet is go into the void as I have no followers, but I'll share anyways. Please retweet for reach. What you're seeing are American-made APGE nuclear detector drones. They can detect the presence of gamma rays miles away, but what is a gamma ray? That's the stuff we attribute to radiation, electromagnetic waves that penetrate you and cause cancer. APGE drones are built to inspect nuclear sites, but these ones aren't. In the late 2000s, the DoD needed a response to the threat of dirty bombs from ISIS coming into our ports in New York and New Jersey. They've been stocking up on these drones for a while. Some were deployed to Ukraine when when Russia threatened to use of dirty bombs. They never did that, but okay. So we know this person's a fucking faggot. They look weird because they're heavy and have giant cryo coolers mounted in giant horn antennas to communicate on wave frequencies that can't be jammed. This is where I come in. The technology these drones use have few suppliers, both for wave equipment and the high purity germanium. Same suppliers that are the backbone of my industry. So what are they doing? They're collecting information in how public will react PSYOP and testing their ability to sweep a port city like New York for dirty bombs. Jersey was chosen because we're the closest port city to New York, and New York would be too dense for reliable wave comms. But why is the DoD silent? Again, because in a scenario we have a threat of a dirty bomb the public doesn't yet know. The DoD needs to know how the public would react if these were deployed to sweep a city. What many don't realize is Ukraine is the reason we're here. That was the first time we deployed them in a combat zone, but make no mistake, they're for protecting the homeland, as DoD bought hundreds of thousands to act as swarms capable of sweeping a city. Uh. Ba, 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 ba. Okay. Yeah,
I wouldn't rule it out and say it's outside the realm of possibility.
Hmm.
However, them saying that the radiation detection equipment on those drones is what's interfering with FM radio signals, I would disagree with that. One of the secondary NECs that I held when I was in the Navy, basically,
son of a bitch!
Naval enlisted classifications, was as Radiological Controls Monitor from spending 2 years in Radiological Controls Division on board a nuclear submarine tender.
Okay, so real quick.
The radiacs we use are entirely passive, to where they react to the radiation. They don't send out freaking signals of their own. They're entirely passive.
Yeah, but if these are broadcasting on MM wave, which I forget what MM wave stands for, but that
millimeter wave.
Yeah. But that's going to fuck with communications. If you're broadcasting that much over a small area, it's gonna fuck with communications in that area. Period. In the story. By the way, these are in fact the drones that I've seen. Like, I saw a really shitty fucking picture, and I was like, okay, it's clearly a fixed wing drone. Yeah, no, this is the fucking drone. The tail section and everything is a match for what I saw. So, yeah, it's the Pterodynamics Transwing is the name of it.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Other than, like I said, the radiation detection equipment would probably be entirely passive. But as far as like the other electronic operation, yeah, well, yes, blowing in the dark does save on light bills. But yeah, the other stuff, the other electronic equipment you're talking about, other surveillance stuff, and possibly equipment for like GPS guidance and communication, yes, that could definitely match the stories of interfering with radio communications and people's clocks in their cars.
Hey, can we just acknowledge something though?
Yeah.
You remember when I said something? I bet it's a company that's fucking doing some testing, and the government doesn't want to fucking talk about it.
Could be.
Yeah. I fucking called it, bitches.
Yep. Yeah. If nothing else, it would be in line with the basic premise we've been saying all along. That it's actually the U.S. government or one of the contractors doing this, and they just don't want to admit they're the ones that's fucking doing it, because besides doing the testing and the drills, it's also turned into convenient little psyop and distraction in the news cycle.
Yep.
From a lot of the other stuff that's going on. So that's why they've kept closed mouth about it as well.
Yep.
So, fuck. Okay, I didn't expect to be able to actually fucking come up with a plausible scenario for that fucking situation. I thought it was gonna be a couple months. No, like literally, I shit you fucking not. Like, somebody managed to get a halfway decent enough picture to be able to make out the outline in the dark of the fucking drones, and that is the drone. The Transwing is literally the drone that I saw in that picture.
They're even transing the drones now? God damn.
Well, no. What it is that it's a cross between a fixed wing and a helicopter. It's a VTOL or STOVL technically. Well, actually, no, it's not a STOVL. It's a VTOL, because if it can land using the quadcopter function, it's a VTOL. But the wings will fold in and turn it into a quadcopter so it can hover, and then when it's wanting to go fast, which explains why these fuckers are so goddamn fast, is because in order to go as fast as they were going, you need to be a fixed wing. Which, oh my god, that fuck.
Well, Dale,
Goose.
Some of us did get the trans joke and did appreciate it.
Yes, I understand.
It will never be a real quadcopter.
Yeah.
Oh my God, no, you don't understand. Like fucking Goose was talking about, was talking about the fact that these motherfuckers were doing like 90-degree fucking turns and shit. If they can turn into a quadcopter, they can fucking do 90-degree turns. They're flying along, they start fucking going into quadcopter mode, and then they can fucking do a 90-degree. Fuck.
Stealth blimps, Stoner? It's an interesting concept.
We refer to those as flying Doritos.
Oh yeah, I remember those from years ago.
What was the fucking what was the Swedish aircraft?
I remember one of the theories for the flying Doritos was that was the supposedly the prototype for the successor to the SR-71.
And what was the SR-71?
The SR-71 Blackbird. What was their, the recon aircraft they built in secret back in 1960s that could do Mach 3.
Right.
Hold on, I'm looking up.
Was that the one that famously crashed in Russia?
Hey, Mitch. The one that you're talking about is the Aurora, and if I remember correctly, it was supposed to be like, what is it? A hypersonic ramjet spy plane?
Yeah, even fast. Could end up being even faster than the SR-71, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking up pictures of the Aurora. Because I know one of the things that people would claim they'd see whenever an Aurora would fly by would be like, you know how jets produce contrails? Just a regular contrail?
They were seeing these weird contrails with like diamond shapes in them, like knots, like somebody tied knots in a rope. Yeah.
Yeah, donuts on a string.
Stoner, can you...
That was off the Pulse jet.
Stoner, can you send me a picture of the Aurora? I want to spam my wife with those.
I am. Give me a second.
For the record, for those who don't know, that's her name, Aurora. I'm going to spam her with those.
Hey, real quick. I found it. It's the Saab 35 Draken. Yeah, no. Look at that plane and tell me that doesn't look like it could potentially be a fucking UFO.
Yeah, I've seen the Saab Draken. That's a funky looking jet.
Yeah.
But no, that's the point, is that, bro, I'm sorry, UFOs, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to attribute it to some military aircraft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
even
the 10th time that really gets my attention.
Yeah. Yeah, they're saying that's a lot of the thing, too. People are so worked up over those drones in New Jersey. They're actually, a lot of the reports and the pictures and videos, they're actually mistaking actual commercial aircraft, for the drones there.
I've been researching UFOs for years. I'd like to think that I know enough to be able to tell a real man-made aircraft from the real deal.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how many people can't. Yep. Even in the Navy, the one old fast attack I was on up in Norfolk for 3 years, got on board it where it was like finishing up overhaul, and in '91, before I got transferred back out to Washington State, went out to do a NATO exercise, and when I was getting ready to go back on watch one day while we were like 2 or 3 days into the exercise, one of the quartermasters come up to me and said, he said, I know you got a subscription to like Aviation Week and Space Technology, and he said, did you bring any copies of them along? I said, well, yeah, I brought a few copies of just to thumb back through and look through again. He said, cool. Said, would you mind if we borrowed some of those and cut them up to get like pictures of like P-3 Orions and B-52s and actual helicopters and like that. I said, well, no, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Said, what would you want to do that for? He said, what we want to do is want to cut those out and put these and make and glue the pictures to the poster board so we can help these junior officers that are up there in control to be able to identify aircraft, through the periscope. Because he said, we just there today, so we just had an exercise where the British sent out one of their Nimrod anti-submarine jets, which it looked like the old Comet based on the old Comet airliner they developed back in the 50s, and said the junior officers we had up there trying to identify it, they alternately identified it as an SH-2 anti-submarine helicopter, a P-3 Orion, and then one of them thought it was a B-52. And my jaw just hit the floor. And yeah, dude, go ahead, grab what you need, make your poster board with the pictures so you can teach those dumbasses what an aircraft looks like. And I walked back in the engine room. Our chief was on watch there, and went back to him. I said, "You're not going to believe this." And I told him that story, and he just gave me a look like I was speaking in tongues, and just shook his head and walked forward without saying a word.
Well, you'd think naval aviators would already know what's a friendly jet and what's an enemy jet.
Yeah, well, these were like guys that weren't long out of the Naval Academy, and they were on a submarine. So yeah, they didn't deal with aircraft a lot. So I could kind of forgive them there, but when that guy said I've told him, like, the guy that was asking pictures, I was like, dude, said, it's real easy to identify a B-52. Said, you see something that looks like a forest fire with a searchlight on the front of it heading at you, that's a B-52. With all the black smoke that come off of it, because a couple years lived up in Kentucky. We actually lived underneath what was one of the training routes they flew for trying to fly low-level missions. Yeah, I know what a B-52 looks like. It looks like a huge cloud of black smoke off a gigantic forest fire with a frickin' searchlight sitting on the front.
I've seen footage of B-52 bombers that were used during the Vietnam War, and good God, those darn engines smoked like a darn freight train.
Yep.
Those F-4 Phantoms did too.
Do the current stealth jets, do they not emit any smoke, or do they just emit stuff that's clear and not visible to the eye?
What I've seen, they've become more advanced with the engine technology over the years, and they've actually replaced engines on the B-52s to, like you said, instead of like old-fashioned old turbojets and like that, and now they're using like turbofans, and got a lot better at the engine technology to where they pretty much eliminated the heavy smoke and such. Anyway, what were we talking about before I got to telling sea stories?
Drones.
The drones, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about the drones.
Yes.
Hey, sorry guys. Poe walked over. She's not feeling good, so I'm just gonna pay attention to her for a minute.
Oh, no worries. So you mentioned that you were relatively good at identifying the bullshit UFOs from the real UFOs. What do you make of those rather now famous videos taken? I think it was of the Navy on some I think it was during some naval aircraft that were out in the.
You talking about the Tic Tac UFO?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That. What do you make of that?
Now that might actually be a genuine thing. Emphasis on the word might.
Yeah, considering the people involved, that they actually did have data and video, of them, and actual, radar data off of them. Considering the people involved were like naval officers and like that, and the testimony I watched of them, I'm like, there's something going on there. Whether or not it's aliens, I don't know. It might be something similar to the same situation we got going on with the drones in New Jersey right now, i.e., someone that is with the U.S. government or a contractor that was been testing stuff, and we just don't know about it. I would consider that to be a more likely scenario than the guy with the electrocuted hair saying it's aliens.
Yes.
But I'd also say from this UFO incident was the JAL Flight 1628 UFO sighting.
Which one was that?
And I think this happened during the 80s, I believe. Japanese Airlines, there was a cargo plane. I think it was like a 27 that was fitted for transporting cargo, flying through Alaska, and the dude saw a giant UFO. Here's a picture of what that pilot saw.
Oh, he managed to take a picture?
No, he didn't take a picture, but he managed to draw it.
I see.
And he put his 747 there for scale.
Dang. That is a big UFO.
Mm-hmm.
Did he say what it was doing or where it went?
It was just floating there. That's all he said.
Hey, real quick, Dale, what time are we at?
We are 1:41:30. You looking to end the stream soon?
Yeah, I'm starting to get tired, and I definitely didn't realize that the chaos has been real. Let's just say that.
Understandable.
We've kind of just gone all over the fucking place. I don't mind. It's like, oh.
Yeah, we ended on UFOs while you were away.
Yeah, I was hearing.
Yeah. All right then. It seems like a good enough place to end things then. Yeah. Give Paul my regards, and I hope she does feel better soon.
Yeah. I'll be paying attention to her here for a few minutes. So. All right. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right. See you later, folks. Look forward to the next episode as always. And with that, we bid you adieu.